Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lattes on My Mind. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Felina.
What are we going to be talking about today, Felina?
Today we're going to be talking about Plum Island.
Oh. Ooh. So grab your lattes and join us for the journey.
So, Hannah, it's been a long weekend.
It has been a long weekend, but not long enough.
I know. I don't want to go back to work
I
tomorrow.
don't either. Don't tell the bosses.
Hey, bosses.
If you're listening to this, doubtfully, we don't want to come back to work.
Yeah.
Doubtfully?
I doubt. Yeah.
Can I just talk about how much anxiety and like social awkwardness I have sometimes? Like, I'm a pretty outgoing person, right? But there are certain things like today, I ran to Kroger before I came here because I knew you needed a little bit more time because I was just grabbing something that I could, stick in my bag. And I saw this guy out in the parking lot, and it looked like he was walking around with a clipboard, like he was taking a survey or like trying to get signatures. And you know what I did? I was in my car, so I was like, and I backed up and I went to the other side of the parking lot and got out and then walked across the store because I was parking on the side that I needed to go into.
Yeah.
But I literally
You literally got more steps in just so you didn't have to interact with the person.
Yes. Well, a stranger who I'm just going to have to be like, no, probably. Yeah. And I hate confrontation. And then so I go to Seven Brew. There's something today. So if I'm really awkward during this podcast, I'm sorry. But I go to Seven Brew and the guy's going kind of fast. And he hands me like the iPad where you tip.
Right.
And I usually type in, I don't know if this is not enough or too much, so sorry, don't judge me. I usually give them $1. I mean, they're baristas and like some people don't tip them at all. So I'm like, I feel like that's pretty generous since it's coffee.
Yeah.
But I accidentally, because you type it in, like if you want to put in a certain amount.
Did you type in $100?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I typed in 1 cent. And I go, oh, that's embarrassing. And I think he thought I was talking about him in some way.
No.
And then I was like, oh, no, I did something weird. And then I was like, why am I this way?
You get one penny.
Why am I so stupid? But so, yeah, I just had to share that.
That's amazing.
I'm sorry.
That's incredible.
I was like, I'm awkward and this is awkward. So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
But that's been my weekend.
My weekend has been uneventful. I'm pretty sure I took like 3 naps on Friday. So
we literally stayed up till like 5 a.m. and then slept till like 3 p.m.
Yeah. Like, it was super. No, like we woke up. Then we were like, let's go take a nap.
Right.
And we woke up and then we were like, let's go take a nap. And then the Saturday, Sunday portion of it has been tearing apart my new car.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We told you last time, right? That she.
Yeah.
Or one of the times before she got a new car. Well, you should see it today.
Gutted. You should have seen it like an hour before you got here.
Really?
It was even more gutted. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, the seats are gone. The dash is gone.
Let me tell you, that driver's seat, it was not fun.
Not fun.
It was not fun.
I don't know how you have the patience to. I would be like.
It's like Marshall said, it's like adult Legos. It
But-
kind of is, though.
Kinda, but well, I guess if you think about it that way. But I like Legos anyway, and I'm an adult. But like, you don't have an instruction manual.
I have a Marshall.
That's true. I guess he just sits there and tells you.
He's my instruction manual.
Does he do it all from memory, or does he like Google stuff?
Well, he worked for Ford.
Right.
I have a Ford. So, yeah. He mainly does it from memory. He's like, now this needs to come out. Now this needs to come out. And then he...
how does he know?
Because he's certified. He had to like take the
know,
tests and stuff. But he does... There is some stuff where he'll be like, I'm not sure exactly where this is
Obviously.
or how this comes out. So let me look it up so I make sure and I don't break anything.
But then he like understands it.
Yeah.
Like I would watch a YouTube video and be like, I cannot do that.
Okay,
but,
so
like,
this doohickey comes off and it looks like this.
Right.
Every time he asks me for a tool, I'm like, a what? And
Which is that?
and then how at one point he just said it 3 times. I said, Marshall. And he goes,
I just want
the red thingy. And I was like,
thing.
okay, cool. I was like, it looks like it like gets clips off and it like looks like it's It's got like a 2-pronged fork, but like
What is
they're
that?
smoothed out or whatever. You know, like a fork,
A fork?
but with only 2 prongs.
But what is that called?
I can't.
What is the tool's name?
Couldn't tell you.
Oh, I do not know.
He asked
what
for it 3 times, and I didn't know what he meant. And then he said, the red thing, the long red thing. And I said, okay, cool. I got you.
You have to understand. I'm not educated in this. Educated?
I don't know these tools you speak of.
Right. I might know a wrench, a screwdriver.
Also, this is totally hard left turn,
Okay.
but we have a fun fact for you guys.
Oh.
The Hannah did the what's it called? Roanoke Island.
Oh yeah.
Roanoke.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about this.
I did too. We didn't
We didn't
we
share.
didn't put it in. We didn't share.
A little while back there, I did the Roanoke Island. Y'all remember that?
Hannah did a Roanoke Island episode, and she was like, there's no survivors, or if there were survivors, we don't know.
Right. As far as we know.
Yada, yada, yada.
from-
And how this one girl was pregnant, and she gave birth to a baby girl.
Yeah.
Was it Virginia?
Virginia Dare.
Virginia Dare. Fun fact, I am related to the first baby born, like,
English baby, right?
yeah, English baby born in America named Virginia.
So,
So,
what are we missing? If Felita is related to Virginia Dare, supposedly, what happened actually? Well, because they didn't know what happened to her. And they said
Yeah.
that she died.
yeah.
So I'm like, her mom probably didn't.
Well,
So-
and it could also be because I was talking to my mom. She goes, "Did you know that you're related to?" And I was like, "What?" But she also said it could be like if the whatever his name was, I forget everybody's names.
like
if the guy
John
who
White.
left and then came back and looked for him,
Yeah.
if he had other kids,
True.
it could be that type of a relation. Like,
Or like you said,
or-
like if the mom survived and she ended up marrying one of the native peoples,
and had a child
Yeah.
with that native person,
then
then that's how I'm
Yeah.
related. Yeah, but some way, someone survived, because otherwise I would not be here.
Felita's original.
Yeah. Yep.
American.
America.
Speaking of America,
Speaking of
don't
America,
you have some government crap to talk to me
we
about?
have some government crowd to talk about. Okay.
Okay.
So today's episode is Plum Island. And this is something that Hannah and I did not know anything about.
Nope.
And we were watching a YouTube video about like weird creatures, I believe.
Was that what it was?
Yeah. And
Oh.
so Hannah said to me, I don't know anything about this. And I said,
don't.
you do actually. Because I found this through this video.
Through one of our deep dives accidentally
Yeah.
onto YouTube about whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So Plum Island, it's an island. It's 3 miles long and it's like 1 mile in width.
Oh, it's a baby.
Yeah, it's small. It's the same size as Central Park.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And it's it's an island located off the coast of New York. And it's looked at as like a natural, like it's protected, the natural habitat and all the wildlife around it. It's like one of the most like naturey things in New York,
In
you
New
know?
York, yeah.
Because
It's highly populated.
it's New York. A fun fact about Plum Island, it is where one of the first battles where the Americans the colonies fought the British.
What?
Yeah, it took place on this island.
What?
It was one of the first battles.
What was it like called the Battle of Plum Island or something?
I don't know.
I
But
need to
apparently there
know.
was like a lighthouse or something. I don't know.
a lighthouse.
There's a lighthouse
Okay.
involved. Plum Island is referenced. There's even like a novel about 2 workers who worked at Plum Island.
Oh.
It's fictional, of course,
Right,
but
but-
it's referenced in the I think it's The Silence of the Lambs in the book and in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never seen that because I've heard stuff.
Yeah.
I've
So
heard that it's very creepy.
it's very well. There's books about it. There's like this building, I
Hmm.
think 275 or whatever book that this one guy wrote about it. There's this other thing. There's all kinds of like. There's a conspiracy theory.
There's lots of fictional stuff about it. It sounds like.
It's the one book isn't fictional.
Oh, okay. Oh,
And I believe one of the other books isn't fictional, but there is a fictional book that takes
Okay.
place.
we'll have to read it.
on Plum Island. Like, I believe it's literally called Plum Island.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's in there. There's a lot of information about it.
Okay.
Not only was it one of the first battles
Okay.
with the American colonies, but it's been used by the military in every major war for like they've had a military base on Plum Island.
What?
And they've also done training there. And I think part of that, which I kind of talk about a little bit later, but I can talk about now, is it's like on a list of terrorist spots. Like if terrorists were going to attack, it's up there on that list. It's saying we'll attack Plum Island, or we'll attack the White House, or we'll attack like it's one of the major terror places.
So it must. Well, I mean, you might get to this, but like there must not be much other stuff on the island, like because it's not very big.
No, so Plum Island,
Yeah.
is home to Plum Island Animal Disease Center, which that's like the only thing on the island, basically.
Wow.
It is owned by the U.S. government, and you hear Animal Disease Center, you think agriculture, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of like it was, I believe, at one time under the agriculture, like
The Chamber of Agriculture.
Yeah,
Sure.
Department of Agriculture, whatever
What
it's
are
called.
they called?
It is not. It is in fact under the Homeland Security.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which is weird because what they do is they test animal illnesses. So it's supposed to only be transmittable, whatever word it is. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. From one animal to another. Like, you can't infect humans with it.
It's
so
just
why would it be Homeland Security?
Animals. Yeah.
Just a little weird little tidbit there.
Side note.
You can only get there by invite.
Oh. No one lives there. Like, no, like, individual, like, families live on this island.
I don't believe so. Not anymore. I believe they used to.
Yeah.
But not anymore. So you can only get there by invite, and you have to have top secret clearance.
I don't want to go anyway. It sounds scary.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to why you can't go.
Okay, so top secret clearance, like probably
top
a high clearance.
Yeah, like you're dropping off an illness, like for them to research. Not even CDC, like
just the animal stuff,
like foot and mouth disease and
ew.
swine flu, and
Ebola
and like stuff
COVID?
like that. Yeah, maybe
I don't know.
But it's like boats. There's like reports of boats that got too close to the island being chased off by military.
Oh.
And when you go, it's literally like, so if you do get like permitted to go onto the island, you're followed around by armed guards everywhere you go. You cannot have your phone on you. You cannot take any photos. There's like literally no photos of Plum Island.
None.
I mean, there's the aerial.
Yeah, I mean,
but
you have to know it exists.
like on the island, like you're not allowed to have photos.
What about like the people who used to live there? There's like no old photos of it or anything? I wonder.
Well, maybe,
but like not now.
But like the reason you're going is like the research center.
Right.
Like that's the reason you're on the island.
Okay.
There's like nothing, not like the whole island. When I'm going to reference Plum Island a lot, 9 times out of 10 for the rest of this episode, it's the Animal Disease Research Center.
Okay.
Thing.
What about just the military base? Not the so we're focusing on
the military base is only there, like it was only there during like wars.
So
like the Cold War and World War II.
So they put I gotcha.
Yeah, so they would have a military base.
They're not
there.
Actively there right now.
No.
Okay.
No. Even though it's owned by the government, but there's no military there right now. There's just armed guards. But it's only accessible by ferry and helicopter.
Okay.
So it's like, even if like you can't just drive your boat up to it, like it has to be the ferry or helicopter. You can't even like land a plane there. So
interesting.
It's pretty tucked away.
It's probably not big enough for a plane either, I guess. Well, I mean,
yeah,
with all the other stuff like landing it.
Yeah. So, because I mean, it's only 3 miles long.
Yeah, that's
1 mile wide.
Yeah,
so,
that's kind of pushing it.
and it's 1 mile wide at its widest.
So
there's like a circle, and then it like tails,
Right.
and then it gets
Oh my
thinner.
gosh.
So yeah, you can't really land a plane there. When workers there, they like go in and they like take their clothes off, put on their like overall
They're like hazmat
outfit, whatever,
crap, whatever it
and
is.
they have to walk through like these like showers basically to sanitize them before they can enter and leave.
Guess who could never work there? Me.
You
Me. Nope.
You really couldn't, and
No.
we'll talk about why later.
I would have to be. Yeah. No.
But so the Plum Island Animal Disease Center, it, according to them, protects against threats from foreign diseases for the U.S. livestock.
Okay.
So they're doing this testing on animals, like I think it's like literally hooved animals, mainly like cows, pigs,
Like live
deer, yeah, like yeah,
okay,
all that. So they're doing these tests to try and I don't know, I guess like come up with like cures for these diseases like
that
could potentially infect our
control
livestock.
the meat supply, sort of like if something gets a disease, like sort
right,
of like
yeah, and they like literally
stuff.
they burn, like they'll infect the animals and then they'll burn them
They'll
before.
infect them?
Yeah,
I can't handle this.
I know.
This isn't good for my goodness.
I know. They're the only place in the nation that is like permitted to have the foot and mouth disease testing, like foot and mouth disease samples. They're the only place permitted because foot and mouth disease is actually really, really like contagious.
Really?
And can spread like rapidly.
Oh.
Like there was a.
Like, is it an animal disease?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It
I
like
know that
causes blisters and
right.
like foaming, and then it like infects the
foaming.
Mm-hmm.
So like rabies? Like
kinda, yeah, I guess.
Ew, but like people have survived it, or is it like?
Well, it's not hand, foot, and mouth disease. It's foot and mouth disease. So it's only animals.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, that's an important distinction.
I don't know my diseases, guys. I didn't know it was different.
No, because I got confused about it too.
Okay,
I was like,
okay.
hand, foot, and mouth disease. What? No, it's just foot and mouth disease, and it's only in animals. So yeah, they're the only place allowed to have it. And they do like they work on stuff like foot and mouth disease, swine flu, and all that stuff. They had Ebola there. There was like germ warfare. They had anthrax. They had like all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
all the stuff that freaks me out. Do you know how much I think about anthrax?
What's that one thing where it's like it starts with a B? Gosh, botulism.
Oh, botulism.
Yeah, that was there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So this is like the Hannah Island. Like
yes.
This place to me.
You would not want to go there.
I would never want to even look at it.
No.
I would look at it and I'm like, I'm dead.
Yes. You'd be like, I literally have to take 25 showers.
Oh, right. They're trying to keep all the OCD people away. Like,
you would go through the shower like 10 times.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I don't think I'm clean. Hang on.
Actually, just put me down. Like,
actually, just go ahead and take me out
end
right
my
now.
misery.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are supposedly they're only testing on animals. However, rumors that they have done human and animal genetic mutation trials have been like surrounding it forever. And we'll get into some human stuff later. Now, I don't know how credible the human stuff is, other than, I mean, there's one specific thing that we're going to talk about a little later that I'm like, that seems a little, There's another thing, however, that I don't think really means anything, especially considering like the island. It's like kind of weird, but like not super weird. You'll see. I will get to it, but I don't know what started the human trial. Like
testing?
Yeah. Information, I don't know. I do know there has been
like
a
how
whistle.
it started to spread that someone that they did it.
I don't know how that started. I do know there was a whistleblower. I didn't get the time to look into exactly what. From what I understand, it was like OSHA standards. Were not being met.
Kind of questioning. They were like, what's going on here?
But that's the only thing that I was able to find about that. I tried to look up like Plum Island human body, Plum Island this, Plum Island,
but
and then it was
if that was happening, like it'd be hard to find.
Yes, it would. So we're gonna get into some of the conspiracies.
Okay.
This is what you know. the Montauk
Oh,
monster.
that's right. That's where this came from.
Yes. In July of 2008, an animal was found washed up on Montauk Island, which Montauk Island is super close to Plum Island.
Okay.
So it's very plausible that it would have come from Plum Island.
Right.
It looked like a cross between like a pig or a bird or a dog and a bird,
Yeah,
or like
little,
whatever. It had no fur on it. It had the only thing that like everybody was like, it's a pig or it's a rat.
Why would it be? Wasn't it like bigger?
Yeah, they were saying like it's with them New York rats. And yes,
Yeah.
New York rats are big,
They're not
but
that
they're not
big.
like
Nah, they're big, but they're not that.
they're
big.
not that big. And some people were like, oh, it's been laying out in the sun, so it's just swollen, and that's why it looks like that. That's why it looks so big. It's not actually that big,
Right.
or what have you. But it had no fur. It was completely bald. It had 5 toes on each hand, on each paw. All those toes had claws on them. It looked to have a beak. There was fabric wrapped around the arms like it had been bound.
Now that's the weird part too. Like, why would there be fabric unless someone was like actively with the animal?
Right. Something had to put fabric around it. Well, the most commonly accepted explanation for this was it's a raccoon.
With a beak?
Exactly. If you think about it, everything but the beak makes sense
for
a raccoon. And then there are some people who were like, well, if you look at it from a different angle, like, then that's not... They were like, here's a picture from a different angle. But the picture from a different angle was actually another instance of another animal washing up. There was like 4 or 5 instances of these animals washing up. They're like, it's a raccoon and it was baked in the sun. That's why it doesn't have any fur on it or whatever. Whatever. The reason the raccoon theory started was in a neighboring island, also very close to Plum Island. So it was like Plum Island's up at the top, and to the right is Montauk Island, and to the left is this other island. I can't remember the name of it.
I wouldn't know.
But so it's like there's like a little triangle circle thing where it could come from either place. There was a party happening.
A party?
And this party, they were very intoxicated.
Okay.
Very intoxicated. They had found a decomposing raccoon.
Oh.
And they started like playing with it, for lack of a better term. They put it on like their pool floaty and like their party stuff,
guys.
and they were like having fun. Then they all decided, you know what? Let's give it a Viking's burial, which a Viking's burial is you put it on a raft and you set the raft on fire and you let it
usually
out to
with
sea.
Flaming arrows.
Usually.
I want a Viking burial.
Well, I'll talk to Wes.
Yeah, let him know
we'll see what we can arrange.
Shoot flaming arrows.
But that's gonna be a while.
We hope. We
Fingers
pray.
crossed. But so they decided we're gonna give it a Viking burial. So
what the heck, y'all?
So the fabric wrapped around it could be how they tied it to the raft.
Right. Well, okay, yeah. And if it was burned.
And if it was burned, that would explain the no fur.
Right.
And
maybe like it burned its... Is that like the explanation for the beak?
The beak, I don't know. The beak, they say it's, if you look at it from this angle, you can see like the nasal
skull?
Cavity of it. But that was, again,
a different...
Every picture that they showed of like, oh, here's one from a different angle. It's like, no, that's literally a different picture.
That's a different animal.
That's a different animal. And there was like multiple cases of these animals. I don't see how it makes sense because to be Plum Island though either, because they burned the bodies unless something got out. You know, like unless something escaped. But multiple things escaping.
So like at Plum Island, they burn the bodies as well. Mm-hmm. And they don't let them wash away because they could be diseased.
Yes. They don't want to cause an outbreak.
Right. So how would it get someone accidentally?
But people are saying like, oh, this animal escaped from Plum Island.
Oh, before they...
And it's been genetically mutated.
Okay.
And that's why it has a beak and claws and whatnot.
Right.
all that. So I
Like,
don't
it got
know.
free.
Yeah. I don't know. You guys can look up the Montic Monster. It's because there was another
weird.
one that literally washed up onto New York, like shoreline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very far. Right?
Well,
Or
no,
not-
it's
no.
not very far. It's off of
It's
off of the New York like shoreline.
Right. I wonder
So-
how far in miles that like, because how far would it carry a body, like a little animal, before it just like.
I don't know. I mean,
don't
you
either.
get beached whales, you know.
That's true. You're right.
So-
Yeah, and they're not coming that close to.
Yeah.
You're right.
So I don't know.
I didn't think of that.
I don't know. So yeah, but literally the only thing that discounts this from being like from in my mind from being Plum Island is that they burn animal corpses once they're done with them.
Right.
And there was like I'm just going to say 4. There was about 4 animals that washed up that
Okay.
were like this, all mutated,
Something
all
weird.
no skin, like or all only skin, no fur, like
Yeah.
weird.
Something not natural about
Yeah.
it.
So that's one of them. Then the other one is the Mystery Man.
Mystery Man.
In January of 2010. Oh my goodness, I can't talk.
The words.
A man washed up on the shore, and he was African American. He was 6 foot tall. The official record says there was no foul play or evidence of torture, according to the police. However, he did have long fingers.
Long
and you're
fingers?
like, okay, whatever. Who cares? He had long fingers. Someone who saw the body, I don't know who. I don't know if it was like a police officer, if it was like one of the coroner or the autopsy people or whatever. They said the man had unusually long fingers for his stature, like genetically modified long fingers for his stature.
Right.
He also had 5 holes drilled into
sorry.
his skull,
What?
which is another indicator. It could be medical testing. It could be torture. I don't think so. But like, it could be any number. I don't know why there would be 5 holes drilled into anybody's skull for medical testing,
Right.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
Unless they were like trying to find a way. Oh, sorry. Unless they were like trying to find a way to do something like with the structure of like your skull or your
maybe.
brain, like
Yeah.
it would definitely be something like unheard of.
Yeah. But
I
it,
would
like,
think. I mean, they do have surgeries like where they cut a little piece of your skull away and then put it back, right? But like,
well, yeah, but not like
but not
drilling,
like drilling holes. That's what I'm saying. Like, what do you drill holes?
Yeah.
for?
But so I just think it's interesting. This one particular, I don't really know what it would be related to Plum Island. It's near Plum Island, but I think it's interesting that the police, the official document, and it's like of the county that Plum Island is in,
Right.
is like, no, nothing was wrong with him. He just floated out
Oh.
on shore. Whereas
The report said.
there was someone who saw it who was like, he literally had holes drilled into his skull. And like his fingers were like,
Oh, so like when we're saying like his skull, like not just under his skin, sort of like when they did like the autopsy or whatever, but like in his head,
In
like
his head.
scalp.
yeah, like it
Oh.
was drilled into
I thought you
him.
meant like just like when they did the autopsy and like saw his like underskull somehow or something. They
no,
did, like,
he had like
oh.
holes drilled into his skull.
Oh, ew.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I just think that's interesting. That's a little weird.
Yeah, that's one was like no.
Yeah. That's like,
Did he also was his head like he had a bald head? Did it say like
It
that?
didn't, it didn't say.
Interesting.
All the articles didn't. But
Ugh.
apparently his fingers were like that with
Like
my palm, and then like
Right.
extra, like it's like weird,
Like stretched?
Yeah.
Or like
yeah. Which I don't know what happens to the human body when it's been floating in water and all that. Like it
Yeah.
could be something weird like that, but
But like they didn't
That's
say
also-
like his whole body was bloated. They said his fingers were really long.
yeah. That's also something that comes up when you search Plum Island. I don't know how credible it is though. Now, this is kind of conspiracy / the history of Plum Island. Okay. In 1952, they created a disease to target humans and animals.
Okay.
I don't know what the disease was. I don't know if, but then again, that's also like humans.
Yeah.
Like, was it, I think it was like like infect the humans with animals and animals. We'll get to it. Hang on. I don't know. That part confuses me. One of the most well-known scientists at Plum Island is Eric Traub. I think is how you pronounce it.
We don't know. We'll never know.
Traub was recruited by the United States during it's also been Operation. So Project Paperclip.
Project Paperclip.
Which, do you know what Project Paperclip is?
I don't. It sounds familiar. I think I've heard it.
So Project Paperclip was when the United States recruited the top scientists, engineers, and technicians of the Nazi Party.
I have heard of this.
And they said, hey, you come. And then the Soviets also had their own Project Paperclip. It's a weird name, and I can't pronounce it.
Right.
But America said, hey, you come work for us, and all your war crimes, gone.
Oh, my gosh.
They're gone. Nobody will make it completely fine. You'll be able to find work. You'll be working for us. Now, the Soviets had another form, like they had this, but it wasn't voluntary. It was like,
you had to.
It was, no, you have to come work for us.
Ooh.
Not, hey, come work for us and we'll absolve you of your war crimes.
Yeah.
It was, you have to come work for us.
Or you'll be.
Because we want the German technology, basically.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, yeah, whatever. Like, just for, like, just the fact that they just said, yeah, you'll be completely immune to, like, the stuff that you did.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that's
Didn't
wild.
they, like, do that for, like, some of the people, like, with, like, our NASA research? Like, some of the, like, scientists
were Nazis?
I think
Most
so.
likely, yeah.
Yeah, I
Well, because they wanted all the research.
Right.
They wanted all this. Something interesting about Traub, though, is he was actually educated in America.
Oh, okay.
So he came to America to get an education. Then he was recruited by the Nazis for his information, like his knowledge that he learned in America. And then he was recruited back from the Nazis to America for all the knowledge he gained from his like research with the Nazis.
Yeah. Gosh.
It was weird. That guy, he was interesting. But so he's German and he kind of helped. He's known as like one of the founding fathers of the Plum Island Research Center.
Right.
Animal Disease Center, sorry. Excuse me. They based it off of Reims, which was a biowarfare plant used by the Germans to infect animals supplied to enemies. So they would basically like infect the animals so they could infect the food source of their enemies. As far as I know, this never actually like
happened,
came to fruition. That was just the plan that they had. One of the main things that they did was they would infect ticks with diseases, and the tick would infect animals and humans. But again, for the Germans, this never happened.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me why the founding father, who is in charge, they based Plum Island off of this, right?
Right.
And he was known for his like biowarfare and using animals, specifically ticks, to infect things. He starts Plum Island, and then Plum Island is ground zero for a Lyme disease outbreak in 1975.
How interesting.
What carries Lyme disease?
Ticks.
So to be clear, I'm not saying that Plum Island caused Lyme disease. They created it or anything. It was here long before then. However, it did cause this outbreak.
The outbreak.
And this outbreak took place in a place called Lyme, South Lyme, North Lyme, Old Lyme. Very weird coincidence.
And it was already called Lyme disease.
And it was, I think so, yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah, it was weird. But it's like something about like
That's
this
weird.
bacteria in Lyme disease was like injected into these these ticks, and then they were released. The question here is, yes, it was ground zero. Was it on purpose or was it just an accident?
Right.
Because something that's very common unfortunately in the US is the US uses like testing without consent on its citizens.
It doesn't seem,
and it goes back for like ever. They did it in like San Francisco, they've done it in Boston, they've done it in New York, they've done it like literally everywhere without consent.
it seems pretty messed up.
And like I think the like last like really well known thing was like in the 90s of like testing without consent. So was it literally like, it's such a big problem that in 2019 a Congressman, Christopher Smith, proposed an amendment to find out the truth about like where these outbreaks were happening. Right. And he was basically like, he did reference Plum Island quite a bit in his amendment. It's on YouTube, you can look it up. But it's basically saying like, let's hold these places accountable for what they're doing. Right. One, and two, these people deserve to know where they got this disease from and like how it happened. Right. And that it's literally someone else's fault. Like, yeah, you know, like these people deserve to know what happened, because Lyme disease can like,
destroy
it can be like deadly for people.
Yeah. And it affects you in like such weird ways. Like people get tired, like just like
it can be mild. Yeah. You can do like fatigue and like a rash and like brain fog, or it can literally cause like like brain like issues, failure. Yeah. Like it's bad. It can be bad. So there's that. Now we're going to kind of jump around a little bit. Okay. I'm going to need you guys to like stick with me here, but we're going to jump around. So the outbreak happens. We don't know if it's on purpose or on accident. Boom. There was a scientist named Bergdorfer. And he, that's fun. I know, I like the name.
Burger.
Which they named the bacteria in Lyme disease after him. What? Because he was the one who discovered Lyme disease. So that's very well known, this guy. Okay. Right. He discovered Lyme disease, yada, yada, yada. What's very not well known, what very few people know, is that Bergdorfer developed bioweapons for the United States. What? The United States? What did you say? That one caught me off guard. Did you say the United States? I said the United States.
I was like, what just happened?
I said what?
You had one of these last time where you just like kept laughing.
It's the what?
The what? It's okay. It happens.
Oh, concentrate. Okay. Anyways, sorry. The United States. He was developing bioweapons. Now, the bioweapons he was developing, you might be wondering.
I might be.
What were they?
I was.
He would weaponize ticks.
Now, Bergdorfer's before Schwab. What's his name? Schwab?
Traub?
Traub.
I don't know how to pronounce his name.
I don't either. So this guy's first, the Bergdorfer guy?
So yeah, he found Lyme disease.
Because he just got, okay.
What type of ticks, you might be wondering? Because there's different types of ticks. Longhorn ticks. Okay. What's the significance of a longhorn tick? They're the only tick that actually hunts. So like normally ticks are like, oh, you know, if I come across something, sure,
they hop on or whatever.
Like they like you brush up against them
and they get on,
and then they hop on.
Yeah.
Longhorn ticks don't. Longhorn ticks can like smell the ammonia.
Ew.
And like smell the carbon dioxide that you're exhaling, and they go and they find you. They like hunt you down.
I assume that they must find cattle a lot. They're called longhorn. So they like look for like they can like smell the animals or whatever.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Not only that, they're also the only ticks that bite multiple times.
Oh.
So normally, if you have a tick, it'll bite you once.
Right.
These will bite, and then they'll move up, and then they'll bite, and then they'll move over, and then they'll bite. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
hate ticks.
Pretty good. Pretty
them.
good.
Little assassins.
Little silent assassins.
Right.
There, they can bite you, infect you, and then move on.
Right. They don't hang on like ticks, like most ticks.
No, they'll like go around and bite you. I don't know if I'm sure they do hang on, but like they'll hang on and then they'll move and then they'll hang on and then, like they'll move around your body.
Ew.
Yeah. So here's where it really gets juicy.
Ew.
From 1966 to 1969, 300,000 research ticks got out.
300,000? How do you lose that many ticks?
Yeah. How do you lose that many ticks, Hannah?
What?
How do you?
Oops. Bumps over the...
Could it be...
300,000?
300,000 research ticks got out of Plum Island.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Which, again, Plum Island is supposed to be working on hooved animals. A tick is not a hooved animal.
They attack hoofed animals.
However, we'll find out what could have happened with some shoddy maintenance.
Shoddy, to say the least.
I mean, like, as in airflow, you know, like, instead of pumping air out, it pumps air in.
Oh.
Or it's supposed to. So 300,000 ticks got out. Except that you would think, okay, well, sure, maybe it's shoddy maintenance. But they were released with trackers in them.
Okay.
So that the government could track where they were going, how far they were spreading, how quickly they were spreading.
Uh-huh. Oops.
So you tell me,
our
Hannah,
300,000 trackers got out.
Oh, no. So you tell me, was this an accident or was this a test?
I would likely venture to say it was not an accident.
It's a test without consent.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm just...
Trackers. Mm-hmm. How do you put a tracker? I mean, I know trackers are so small. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Like a little tick. Just like, what
the
heck?
As I referenced before, some shoddy maintenance may be happening.
To say the least. Oops.
So we're going to find out literally everything wrong with Plum Island. How it's... And this is part of where that building 275 mainly took place. I think that, or maybe it's 257. I can't remember. I think it's
one of those dyslexia
one of
got us. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm dyslexic,
the 1
sorry.
cent. The 1 cent. Just type.
Literally. But so in 1978, a foot and mouth disease outbreak took place. However, this was not before. So in 1950.
I'm sorry. That was a good one.
I read the next one.
Mostly all this is just us laughing and taking drinks.
So in 1978, foot and mouth disease outbreak happened. Every animal had to be executed. Every single animal. And I can't remember the exact number, but it was like, it was a lot. All the cows, all the pigs, all the horses, I think they had chickens on there too. Yeah, everything had to be executed because of this outbreak.
Oh my gosh.
But because in the UK there was an outbreak that like took place years prior and it like caused billions of dollars worth of like damage. So everything had to be executed. However, this was not before the staff had eaten steaks from the cows that had been infected.
Oh, wonderful.
Mm-hmm. So that alone is like, wow, that's
messed up.
Yeah.
Big time.
How does such a high security...
And they knew where they were going. They
knew
where the ticks were going. So it's like...
Well, this isn't involved with the ticks.
Oh, okay. I thought it was still involved with the ticks.
This is involved with just everything else that's wrong with it.
I was like, well, the ticks went and bit that.
No, they literally had an outbreak of foot and mouth disease.
Oh, okay.
And like, how do
you not know that that animal that you made into a steak didn't have that disease?
Also, like, why were they eating the steaks that they were testing
yeah.
all these like harmful illnesses on?
Let's just eat the steak.
Yeah. So
What the heck?
that happened. There was a Rift Valley fever outbreak from the mosquitoes on the island.
Okay.
They had gotten a hold of the Rift Valley fever. There is a sabia virus outbreak.
Gosh.
Workers went on strike for poor working
kidding.
conditions, sewage overflow, leaking roofs, poor training. Now, Hannah,
Could not pay me enough. Sorry.
I'm sorry, but if you're working with infectious diseases, you would make darn sure
Right.
that needle went into that cow or that pig or that horse or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So tell me why two workers stabbed themselves. One worker stabbed themselves with a disease instead of the animal. He pricked his finger.
Oop.
The other worker, I think, was trying to put a cap on the needle and injected herself with Ebola.
No.
Yeah.
You guys need to be careful.
Yeah. So
What
we
the
talk
heck?
about like poor training that now there was a hurricane.
Well, they're definitely not like apparently trained in this field. Like
Exactly.
they're just like,
That's
who
what
will
it's-
do it?
So they went on strike. Like they were
Right.
like, okay, bye. Now this one was like really bad. There was a hurricane. I think it was Hurricane Bob,
Bob.
which is funny to me.
Hurricane Bob.
But this building was not working on the backup generator and everything wasn't working properly. So in their defense, it literally wasn't their fault. However, there was holes in the roof. Like things were leaking
Oh my
before the
gosh.
hurricane.
Right.
You know, like the airflow wasn't really necessarily working before. There was like a big, huge chemical that got spilled on the floor before the hurricane. You know, like all of that. Now this one, two workers were working in the building and they were not trained in like the biohazard suits and like the cleanup process. And there was a sewage overflow.
Oh no.
A cow like poops like 100 pounds a day.
Oh gosh.
Now a cow suffering from infectious diseases that you've infected them with.
Pooping 200 pounds?
Imagine how much poop there's going to be. And they had like hundreds
Oh,
of cows
disgusting.
on the property.
And if you've lived on a farm at all and have seen cow poop, you just can imagine. Oh,
Yeah.
disgusting.
So all these cows with all these diseases were pooping and it was literally flooding the basement.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't going out properly during the hurricane. But these two workers, they said, "You know what? I don't know how to use these suits. I don't know how to use this stuff, so I'm just not gonna."
Dang it, you two. That is the worst.
Knee deep
And poopy.
in poop trying to clean it up without using the proper gear and the proper biohazard whatever.
Could not pay me enough.
Yeah.
You say $1 million, I'd say, nope,
Yeah.
I'm out. Disgusting.
Yeah.
What the?
So there was a strike. There was
Obviously.
yeah.
My
Yeah.
gosh.
This next thing, this one really grinds my gears. This one really tips my taco.
Really
It,
tips my taco.
it really gets me going. This is probably the worst thing about it is the Geneva Convention,
Oh gosh.
which is all of the nations, you know, like all in one, you know, banned testing of certain viruses. Now, George W. Bush said, "I don't care," and granted Plum Island permission to do testing on like these viruses that the Geneva Convention literally banned.
But didn't we all agree on that, apparently? Because it was all of them?
Yeah.
So when he went and broke this, like, what were the consequences? Nothing?
Nothing happened.
Okay.
No. He said, "You know what? I don't care. The rules don't apply to me. I don't care."
Okay.
And this, I'm not trying to be like political or anything. That's just literally like
What happened?
how can you
Right.
sit there and be like, "I know that we agreed to not test on these things because they're so harmful and dangerous." However, I don't I'm going to give my people the right to
Why
test it.
would we? Like, why would we want to test on these things if everyone else said, let's leave this alone?
Yeah. I think that part of it is, like, the tick thing. Like, if you infect a tick and we're at war and then we release ticks to go and bite these soldiers and, like, kill them off, that's weaponizing them.
But you can't control that. That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, you can't control who the tick bites.
Yeah, because in war, like, then you're, like, affecting the population of that place. Like, so you're creating more deaths than necessary, which is,
Yeah.
Sorry, that's just messed up.
No, I
I
know.
don't like it.
I know.
No, I know you know. I just,
and I'm not saying George W. Bush was using it because he wanted, like, the bioweapon or whatever. Right.
But why?
It is weird that he tested. And I understand testing to, like, because if you take out someone's food source.
Yeah.
Terroristically, if you take out someone's food source.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to fight as much.
Right.
So I do understand that aspect of it. But what I don't get is that Plum Island closed. It was scheduled to close at the end of 2023, and all research was moved to Kansas. Kansas.
Okay.
Which is where all of our farms are.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry. Like... So why? And I don't know what prompted the move. I don't know if it was like, oh, well, there's a lot of attention on Plum Island now. We should probably move this.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah.
Okay.
Now, the island itself is only, like, they were like, originally they were like, oh, we're going to sell the island to whoever. And then, like, people were like, are you kidding me? Like, all of those diseases was going to be left behind.
In the hands of anyone?
In the hands of, like, any party. And so then they, like, changed it and they were like, oh, only other federal agencies can buy it. So if like the CIA wants it, they can have it. If the FBI wants it, they can have it. And, like, not under Homeland Security.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
So it would need to be someone with the proper, like, understanding of what's happening on this island. You can't just, like, let anyone in because there goes more outbreaks. Like, if they're not properly
disposed,
of crap, so they just said, no, we're gonna just boop, whatever. Like, were they, like, I wonder if they're, like, planning a mass cleanup of the island? Like, what
I don't know.
Also, why would you, it seems like a bad idea to move to, first of all, like you said, a state where the farms are. And second,
right, if they're that infectious, it makes sense to
keep on an island. That's why I'm saying, like, you're moving into the inland now. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But who am I to know? Who am I to know anything about where? So if they drop 300,000 ticks, like, then we're really screwed.
Exactly. But it's also like the CDC. It's in the middle of Atlanta.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense either.
Yeah, you're right. We should keep all of it to the islands.
Yeah.
A little bit of water.
Yeah.
A little bit of
some distance between us.
Yeah. I just don't understand, like, I understand obviously doing research on certain diseases and stuff because you have to understand them in order to create vaccines and stuff to keep them. But, like, if it's so rare that we don't know a lot about it anyway, then why are we messing with it? Like,
right. I don't get it either. I don't really understand the purpose of Plum Island Animal Disease Center. Like, I don't get it either. Because it's like, it just seems like another shady place for the government to do shady stuff.
To underpay and undertrain their workers.
Literally. And, like, literal holes in the roof. Like, a bird. What about a bird? A bird can fly in and get infected and take it to the mainland. You know? Like,
yeah. Well, yeah, you can't stop birds from landing on that island anyway, so who knows what they're picking up.
Right. And what about the other, like, native animals?
Yeah.
There? Like, did they kill off all the native animals?
There must not be a lot there now because of that.
Right.
But, my gosh. See, this is like what sort of things can Hannah be worried about next sort of pod? Like, what's out there, like, that can cause me harm?
Right. Exactly.
The ticks. Well, I already do not like ticks.
Well, Marshall was researching with me. We were watching a video on it. And he goes, "This just makes me want to literally never go outside again."
Oh, right.
I was
Just
like,
like
right?
sanitize every surface.
Like once it started talking about the ticks, it was like,
Yeah.
he was like, "I just literally never want to go outside again," which
Right.
is problematic because he works outside. So.
Right. I mean, that happens. Like, I did this when I did like a research. Like, I did anthrax, when there was that anthrax outbreak. And then, like, anytime I touched mail after that, I would be like super freaked out. Like, I'm going to get anthrax. So I was like, you'll forget about it. But, like, I still think about it sometimes.
Yeah.
Still think about that.
It just stays with you.
Yeah.
It just stays with you.
Well, I'm going to be a vegetarian. Like, makes you want to not eat meat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
It really does, because you never know what kind of
genetically modified.
Especially if it's coming from Kansas. Okay, don't eat meat.
Me looking at the labels.
Coming from Kansas.
Kansas.
But I mean, also the OSHA violation thing too. Even it shows even now, like they're not really following proper protocols. Like they weren't then whenever like the ticks got released. They weren't.
Obviously.
They weren't whenever all the workers went on strike. But it's like now, it's like,
when did OSHA get founded?
I don't know.
And then you said that they were supposed to end in 2023 and move to Kansas. That was last year.
Yeah, that was at the end of last year.
Anything?
I know that at the beginning of this year they were still operational because they hadn't yet moved. But I think they have since closed and are in the process of moving. Which that's another thing too. How are you going to fly in all these like? That's dangerous.
I would feel like they would probably like it. The animals they'd be getting new animals. Like they're not going to transfer anything.
Oh yeah,
right?
they're going to burn all the animals. 100%.
Yeah, they're just going to burn them all, which is so sad. First of all, that they're killing so many animals needlessly, and second that you just be like, we're just going to test on people who do not know.
But I mean, imagine like a dog getting into the facility.
I know.
And then going and taking it back to its farm.
Yeah.
Like that, an outbreak is going to happen.
Well, and like I'm saying, you would think that they would be like super like, very like, you think that they would have a crazy security system. Like you're saying, like when they go in, they have to do all this stuff. But then apparently people are stabbing themselves with needles and letting ticks out. And like, so it's really not that secure. So who's to say something's not going to wander in there? And
right. Well, and that's another thing too. Like the air vents, they're supposed to be pushing air in and not pushing air out. So like they're supposed to be bringing air in.
Good air.
And I think they did renovate one of the buildings so that it did that. But the older buildings weren't doing that anymore.
Right. So they were just pushing out all the crap that they were.
Right. Fingers crossed that they just stick with it. But
all right, everyone.
If you have any more information,
I think we should all become What? I think we should all
become what now, Hannah?
I think we should all become vegetarians.
There we go. There it is. Okay.
Well, I mean, if you have any more information about little conspiracies, I mean, we're never, our minds are open. We're never saying one word or the other. You maybe
worked at Plum Island. Ooh.
You can. What was it? What's our Instagram?
You can reach out to us at lattespodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on Instagram and Facebook under Lattes on My Mind.
Yep. Please.
Don't get bit by any ticks if you live in Kansas.
Really. And